Hey guys, welcome back to Chapter 1 and Beyond. Today's episode is going to be another installment of Try It or Trash It, which I'm really excited about because we had 3 books on the last episode, and I get to tell you all about how I felt about them, and then we get to pick some new ones. So without further ado, let's just dive right into this episode. So the last episode, we drew The Starless Crown by James Rollins, Things in Jars by Jess Kidd, and then we also had, I believe, if I remember correctly, Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. So, wow, this stack was like quite the ride, let me tell you. So I started off with Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, and boy, did that book give me all the emotions and feels throughout that entire book, start to finish. So this book, I was very nervous going into anyway, because I had soft DNF this so many times. I've been putting this book off. It's been on my shelf, and honestly, I'm really glad that I did pursue, like, getting through this book and doing all the things with this. And it's a story about this Korean family. It takes place over 4 generations. I thought that piece of how it was structured was very well done. I felt like we really got a scope into the first generation, and then it kind of segued into like these different timelines, and it really flowed well with like kind of understanding like what this family went through, and it was just very, very well done. And it really did poke at my heartstrings. Like, I didn't have enough tissue to get me through that book. But I am glad that I read it, but there was definitely some parts that I was like, oh, this is just like really, really, really sad. And I need to get through this book because like I need something that's kind of like, different and feel good and all that jazz. But Pachinko, I gave a 3.75 star rating. I finished that in about a couple of days, and honestly, it was solid. I was starting to get a little tiresome because we were getting a lot of detail of all these different characters, and like as I was like listening to the audiobook, I kind of had to go back and forth between the standard book that I have on my shelf versus, the audiobook to try and keep track of all these characters. But just like how gut-wrenching and it's just very beautifully done. And I just say kind of go in with like your, knowing of your trigger warnings, and just know that this is definitely an emotional roller coaster type book. I am going to keep it on my shelf because I feel like if I have more time in the future, I feel like I could pick this back up as one of my revisits for historical fiction. But man, did it really make me feel like it kind of like gave me a perspective of how awful certain like humans in certain cultures like treat other, cultures and people badly. And I'm just like, wow, this has just been inherently a thing since like the early 1900s, regardless. Like, because I see like this whole bit even in the United States, and then now seeing like kind of a glimpse of, even though it's historical fiction, I see how this kind of like transpired with the Koreans, with the Japanese, and I'm like, wow, why can't we just like be kind and treat each other better, Like, I don't know. But that book really got at my heartstrings, and it just like really took me for a ride. The next one that I had pursued was Things in Jars by Jess Kidd. So I am finding that mystery books and just like kind of like the the idea of like this genre is like hit or miss for me, and I feel like I'm not really giving this like due justice. But honestly, at this given time, I could only give this like a 2.5 star rating. I was really struggling through this one, and I really liked the magical, esque of it, and I really loved that it was like Victorian style, like era, and I was very much intrigued to just keep going, but it was like a power struggle to try to get through this book, and honestly, I am still glad that I did read it, even though I'm giving this like a 2.75 star rating. I still feel like, I am glad that I knocked this out. I did love the magical bit. I really love like how that kind of like the unknown and the mystical part of this book like really got me, but I was very, very bored with the mystery and the unraveling part. um and the fact that like the main character was like this Victorian detective, I was just like, okay, like I don't know, it's just not my thing. And I don't know, I personally am going to keep it on my shelf because I feel like, because I had kind of pursued this mostly via audiobook, it was really hard for me to kind of keep track. Like, one of the characters I thought was like kind of like this situation of a split personality like type idea. I found out it was like not that. So I really feel like I need to like go back and reread this as a physical read and kind of give it more justice. But at this given point, I really wasn't a huge fan of it. I don't know, I've been really struggling a lot with mystery books, and I've been really struggling even with thriller books. So I have to say, that's why it's kind of on the lower side. And I feel bad because like I did like the writing. It's just yeah, it just really wasn't my thing. So, and then finally I did finish The Starless Crown by James Rollins. I mainly consume this as an audiobook, and I have to say, holy crap, like this is actually a really interesting opener. I was not expecting some of the elements with the world building in this one. And the fact that he has background with like sci-fi thriller, I could see like different elements kind of sprinkled into this world and in this installment. So I am really, really excited that I started this because I actually have all three of the trilogy on my shelf, and I plan to keep going with this series. I feel like the audiobook really gave me this enhanced like experience, and I really appreciated it. But honestly, like I'm blown away by this series opener. And yeah, just I'm really excited to see like where this series goes. So, definitely, some hit or miss like with this stack, but honestly, I'm not too worried about it. Um, I'm going to get right into our spins here to kind of get an idea of what our next stack is going to look like. So I'm going to keep the same style of the wheel that we had last time, where it's just genres or random pick and things like that. And we'll see what ends up landing. All right, so I ended up landing on random pick. You have 30 seconds. So let me start my timer. I will get back to you guys in the next clip with what I ended up deciding on picking. All right, guys, I think it's time for this one. So I ended up picking Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This is the infamous trilogy by him called Arc of the Scythe series. It is it's an older series. So this was published back in 2016. The average rating on hardcover with 1,151 ratings. The average star rating is 4.2 stars. So I know this is going to be great. But this trilogy has been sitting on my shelf for so flippin' long. I think it's just time to start diving into this. This is a dystopian science fiction fantasy, I think, and it is YA. I have been having way better luck with my YA picks lately, so I feel confident that this is going to be okay. But on the back it says, a world with no hunger, no disease, no war, no misery. Humanity has conquered all those things and has even conquered death. Now scythes are the only ones who can end life, and they are commanded to do so in order to keep the size of the population under control. Citra and Rowan are chosen to apprentice to a scythe, a role that neither wants. These teens must master the art of taking life, knowing that the consequences of failure could mean losing their own. They learn living in a perfect world comes only with a heavy price. A Prince Honor book, Scythe, is the debut of a thrilling new series by National Book Award winning author Neil Shusterman. Yeah, so this just sounds absolutely fantastic. I know for a little bit I needed to take a little break on dystopians, like especially after reading The Parable of the Sower. I was like, okay, I kind of need to like flip-flop this around, but honestly, I'm feeling really good about this one. So, we have that on our stack. The next spinny spin we're doing right now, I am hoping to kind of mix it up with some classics this time, but we'll see. Okay, it looks like I have to spin again. So I'm going to spin again. But I don't know. I'm kind of on the mixed bag here because I'm really going to be honest. Like, I know I have quite a bit on my physical TBR. I know I have a lot on, my, like physical shelf that I need to get through. I know I'm in the middle of quite a few series at this point, so I feel like I kind of need to start like honing in on getting some of this stuff. Okay, sweet. So that spin again landed on sci-fi picks. So let me go take a look and see what sci-fis I have on my shelf, and then we can kind of go from there. Alright guys, so I have 3 here that I'm kind of deciding amongst, but I have the Synapse Sequence by Daniel Godfrey. This one on the back says, in a future London, humans are watched over by AIs and served by bots. But now that justice and jobs are meted out by algorithm, inequality blooms and protest is brutally silenced. Anna Glover may be the most hated woman in the troubled city, the media scapegoat for an unpopular war. Now she hides from the public eye, investigating neglected cases by using the mind-invading technology of the synapse sequencer to enter witnesses' memories. When a pie brings her a new high-stake case, Anna sees a chance for atonement, but soon she is drawn into a plot that threatens to upend her hard-won anonymity. 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 Why can't I pronounce that? And put everyone in danger, even those she hopes to save. I mean, every time I read this description, I'm really, really intrigued. This is like definitely a high possibility. And actually, I believe this is one of the books that I have planned for Herkyed 3.0. So this would be knocking off like two birds with one stone. I mean, this is 372 pages. So, the other 2 that I have here is Girl Gone Viral by Arvin Amati. I know for a fact this one I do have on my, my Herkyed 3.0 TBR, because I believe this will fulfill my, choose your curriculum, prompt. But this one is 402 pages, and it says on the back, Opal will stop at nothing to uncover the mystery behind her father's disappearance, But when her VR world becomes her viral reality, decoding the truth is harder than she bargained for. And then it looks like Brendan Reich commented, tense, twisty, and oh so timely. Girl Gone Viral is perfect thriller for the virtual reality era. Don't start this book unless you can finish in one sitting. Well, that's intriguing. And then Alex London quoted, in Opal's story, Arvin Amati has crafted a timely and gripping sci-fi tale grounded in the technology that links us and what finding ourselves within can cost. I I don't know. Every time I read this, I'm like, this to me sounds like kind of a version of Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline, but it sounds like 1,000 times better. Um Instead of like video games, it's more of like, hey, you know, we're gonna talk about a VR reality, if you will. This is a very, very high possibility. And then I do have the Infinity Quartz by Akima. Ak- wow, Akemi Dawn Bowman. And this one has been on my shelf for so long, and I really do need to get to it. But this is also starting yet another series, and I don't know. I feel like this one needs to just be put aside for right now. I feel like I really do want to go with Girl Gone Viral by Arvin Amati. I really feel in my gut that this is something I definitely want to embrace and totally read. So I'm going to go with that one. And then we're just going to do one more spin to see where it lands, and then we'll go from there. All right, so the wheel has spoken and says another sci-fi pick. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Between this dystopian and sci-fi pick that I have already, I'm going to spin one more time because I am really, really curious on what else it'll land. And if it ends up landing on like random or whatever, we'll kind of go with it. Oh, interesting. It landed on horror pick. Okay, well, that'll be interesting. What do I have as horror, though? Let me go take a look, and I'll get back with you guys. Alright, guys, so on my shelf, I actually don't have too much, and I'm not really in the mood for Darcy Coates' Ghost Camera. So I'm looking on the Libby app to see what horror books I do have available to kind of consume. And honestly, it's crazy because I've actually read quite a few of these. So Play Nice by Rachel Harrison, I have read. That one was actually pretty interesting. I have read Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. That one was really, really good. Um, let's see. I've already read. Hidden Pictures, I've already read. Um, Pet Cemetery, I've already read, unfortunately. Wow, I've really read a lot. Let's see. I don't know if I want to do a Stephen King, because, like, I guess technically I have The Running Man by Stephen King, but I don't know, is that more thriller? I don't know if that's horror. I don't know. Um, let's see, what else do we got here? I already read The Cabin at the End of the World. What a horrible ending. I hated that freaking ending. I've already read Cackle by Rachel Harrison. I've read Bird Box by Alex North. I've read Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. I have read I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. Good lord, maybe I'm gonna spin again. None of these are looking good, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna spin again because I don't want to do two sci-fi picks, and I also don't want to do the horror pick. Yeah, I ended up okay, so I landed on random this time. All right. So, let's see. Let me take a look and I will get back to you guys with some possibilities here. Alright, guys, I think what I'm going to end up going with, and it makes the most sense for this pick, is The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. This is a book of the month pick that I had selected. It was published back in 2024 and it's only about just over 300 pages. I feel like with the mix that I have, I feel like I kind of need like a cozy-esque, fantasy-esque book. And honestly, like everything like sounds fantastic with this. So the average rating on Goodreads, or I keep saying freaking Goodreads. Why do I keep saying that? I don't use Goodreads. Hardcover. Sorry. Hardcover is 3.9 star rating. And it says in the insert cover of my edition, a wandering fortune teller finds an unexpected family in this warm and wonderful debut fantasy. Tao is an immigrant fortune teller traveling between villages with just her trusty mule for company. She tells only small fortunes, whether it will hail next week, which boy the barmaid will kiss, when the cow will calve. She knows from bitter experience that big fortunes come with big consequences. Even if it's a lonely life, it's better than the one she left behind. But a small fortune unexpectedly becomes something more when a semi-reformed thief and an ex-mercenary recruit her into their desperate search for a lost child. Soon, they're joined by a barker with a need for adventure and, of course, a slightly magical cat. Tao starts down a new path with companions as big-hearted as her fortunes are small. But as she lowers her walls, the shadows of her past close in, and she'll have to decide whether to risk everything to preserve the family she never thought she could have. I think that sounds great, and the fact that it's got a cat in it, we have a winner. So yeah, 3 books: Girl Gone Viral by Arvin Amati, The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong, and Scythe by Neil Schusterman. So in the next episode, I will let you guys know my thoughts. Hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, I will be able to get this episode to you around the beginning, if not second week of August, and hopefully give you guys my full thoughts so we can keep going. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm feeling like with my birthday around the corner and everything, it might be a little challenging because of all the things that are coming up, with, the start of school year, and just overall, like, my schedule is going to be a little crazy, but nonetheless, I think we can still try to pull this off. So yeah, so, originally I had some other ideas for this last pick, but honestly, I'm feeling really, really good about the Teller of Small Fortunes for my final pick. So 3 awesome books, all different genres, so it should be a really good time. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let me know your thoughts on these picks if you guys have read these picks. Would be awesome to learn, what you guys think. So, and if you guys have read them, if you think they're worth it, I'll let you guys know if I'm keeping them on my shelf or not by next week, by the next episode, I mean. So yeah, thank you for joining. Please like, subscribe, and share the podcast, as it helps tremendously with sharing to others. I am hoping in the near future, I'm going to do like a little mini book-ish accessory giveaway. I am still working out the details of that, but the more that you share this podcast, the more capability, if you will, of, maybe getting entered into a drawing like that. So, but yeah, I appreciate all your guys' support. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and until next time, I will catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.